Hello and welcome to EDU320, the flip version. And since we're doing flipping and we're talking about video instruction and so forth, I thought this would be a great week to try this out. I believe there's a lot of benefits to this. One of the biggest benefits is you can watch the video numerous times if you need to, or you can watch it once, be done with it, and not have to sit there and listen to me keep talking and talking during class. I think it will tighten up our time together when we do meet on campus, and I think that will allow us to dive a little deeper into some topics that we normally wouldn't be able to get to, and it will also increase our discussion, which I think that's a part that's kind of missing right now in our class. So if you look at your nightly agenda, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this right now. I'm going to go through most of the skills within that 15 minutes of time. That way I don't spend 45 minutes talking during our Tuesday night class. So after we have done our flipping lessons and so forth, we'll discuss those in class. I'm going to try to get through all of these parts right now so you can watch it. That way at our class, we will focus on flipping the lesson, we'll focus on discussing, and we'll talk a little bit about how we can make videos and video creation and so forth. All right, one of the biggest areas I struggled with when I was a classroom teacher were bell ringers. Now, bell ringers are a way to excite your students to get their brains primed and ready to go for that lesson. A horrible example is, what did we do yesterday? Another bad example would be, okay, please turn your books to page 56. You want to prime the brain. Now, brain research shows that the first part of a lesson and the last part of the lesson is where the students really retain the information. So your bell ringer is very crucial to getting your students to jump on board with your lesson. Now you can click the links here. The first one is a video. We're not going to obviously play the video right now. The purpose of it is to show you songs. Now, I personally am a terrible singer. Some of you are probably pretty good at singing. I'm not a good singer, but I know that there's a huge benefit in students being allowed to sing. My son, perfect example. He comes home from church, he comes home from preschool, he's singing songs. It's just in his brain now, which is awesome. Phonics songs, a fun way to get your kids excited about the lesson you're going to do. Now YouTube has millions of videos out there. BrainPop has a bunch of videos, TeacherTube has a bunch of videos. You want to prime their brain to get them focused. Number two, here's a great example, BrainPop Junior. Now if you're working with the younger students, BrainPop Junior is where you can come. If you're working with an upper elementary students, that's just BrainPop. Now BrainPop does have a fee associated with it. It does cost to use their videos. As I had said before, some of these videos you'll find on YouTube or you'll find in different areas. If your school has a grant writing program or it has a pretty good budget, BrainPop is a fabulous tool to use. There's a bunch of free stuff. You can subscribe, you can play the games. What is nice with this is it's a short video, usually less than 5 minutes, gets the kids excited about it. Then you go on with your lesson, and then you can bring them back together to close the lesson. Now the beginning is crucial, but the closure is just as important. You want to leave them reminding you or telling you what they learned. So BrainPop Junior, excellent resource. Now this one, it won't pop up for you because as I said before, I locked down this old website that I created. What I do want to show you the importance about this is Storyline Online. We've talked about this one recently, is a wonderful website where you have famous people or somewhat famous people reading books to your children. Now this is a great way to get your kids hooked into learning to listen to good reading. Now when they do a partner read, that can be beneficial, but it can also be a part where they're listening to negative readers, which you don't want to get that going too far too often. So I created my website, and you'll have a chance to make your own website later on in this semester. And I found a bunch of videos from YouTube, and I just plugged them right into my website. Now what I would have is first grade students during their daily 5 rotations for reading, they would come to the website and they would listen to a book. Now some of these books might be 10 minutes long, might be too long for you, but the purpose is getting these books for the students. You can even open up your lesson this way, whether you're reading it yourself or you have somebody else reading it. Now, I believe the most important parts of a lesson should include, and ideally every lesson should include, movement, manipulatives, literature, and technology. Now, you can have some lessons which are really heavy in technology and maybe less in manipulatives, or vice versa. But those 4 parts should be in your lessons. You should be thinking those 4 parts when you construct your lessons. And again, that link won't work for you, but just realize that putting in books or reading books yourself, great way to start off your lesson. Now, here's a redundant example. This is what I used to do, and it's a terrible method. I'm glad that I've learned from it. What did we talk about yesterday? Now, in your thinking, it might make sense, like, hey, we want to review from yesterday, but that doesn't prime their brains to move them forward. What'd you do last night? Did you enjoy the lesson yesterday? You want to get them moving forward quickly, and you want to allow that transition time from one subject to the next to move fairly quickly. All right, and that's our bell ringers there. Next links I have for you are Padlet. Padlet.com is a free website to sign up for. What's nice about this is it gives them like an online board. It could be a pegboard. There's a bunch of backgrounds you can choose. So you could pose the question, you have students click on your board, and then they can start to type. So for instance, here's mine. Now mine was, what is your favorite part of this website? Or what's your favorite app or website or whatever the case is? Your students then click and post on the board. It's a nice way to get them brainstorming before they would actually do their writing project, or if you're doing their group work, or this can even be your bell ringer. You can post a question to drive them forward. This can be your closure where they can come together on this. I believe there's an app for Padlet as well. So if you have a school with apps or with iPads or with devices as far as Chromebooks or laptops, Padlet is a great resource for you. Creating a link. Now this is just something to clean up some documents and presentations with your students. Now if you notice, I don't have my huge URL in my documents. So all you're doing is you're going to highlight, go right up here to the chain link, and then you can insert the link. Now for instance, here is my coding studio. I can copy, I can come back to my document, and let's just say this is where I want it to go. When I hit apply, this is now turned into a link. So I could share that with my students. I could say, hey, here's your document, click this link, it'll take you right to our our Scratch Studio. It makes it look a little nicer, and it also gives your students direct access to whatever you want them to do or to go. All right, this next quote I adapted from $1 Million Listing. The gentleman's name is Ryan Serhant. He's the New York broker. He always talks about expansion, meaning getting his business bigger and better. And I thought, you know what, why can't we use that for technology? So my quote is, teachers need to think technology always in all ways. Now, as I had said earlier, thinking about including technology in every lesson, I want you to really start to think about, how can this lesson I'm going to teach be infused with technology? Now maybe that just involves pulling up a Google map instead of the old school maps that you pull down and then they yank up to the top and so forth. You want to think about technology always in every single way possible that you can do. Don't just stop with that YouTube video as your bell ringer. Keep pushing forward with that idea. Brain breaks. I love brain breaks, especially for early elementary students. Now my daughter in first grade will come home and she'll tell me, hey Dad, we did a brain break today. She was so excited. This ties back into movement. So now we have our books, we have our technology, and we have movement. Movement can also tie into manipulatives. So here's the first link of brain breaks. Now one of my college students in the summertime, she found Go Noodle. And the first time I checked it out, I thought, wow, this is awesome. There's some pretty silly videos in here, and the characters that people are singing and dancing and so forth, but it's an awesome way to break up your day. You will be a great judge of seeing when your students are at that moment of, I'm tapped out, I can't do anything else right now. You need to get them up and move. Some of these videos are 2, 3, 4 minutes long. That's perfect. Get them excited to think about something else. Take their mind off of the schoolwork to get them ready. One thing I would do is before I would give my students a big test, I would have them walk around the school. We'd go outside, get some fresh air, clear our minds, just get some movement, and that seemed to really help. The link number 2, this one it's going to take us to a website, a blog, that has a bunch of activities in which you get your left brain and your right brain working. This one is a fantastic example about having your students really get their brain working. Now it might seem kind of tedious and wow, that's a waste of time. It's just a short, quick 1 to 2 minute body challenge. They get thinking about something other than school. It has YouTube videos built in, brain break therapy. There's a lot of hand clapping. When you take your right hand and clap somebody else's right hand, then you take your left hand and clap someone's left hand, you're activating both sides of your brain, which is a win-win because then they're going to be able to focus better during your class. All right, Screencast-O-Matic, that's the program that I use to make a video just like this. I highly recommend if you're doing anything with screencasting, you start at Screencast-O-Matic. There's the link for you. You can take it. You can watch a quick demo video here. Very easy to use. Once you use it the first time, it's such a breeze every time after. You save it. You can upload it to your Google files, your Google Drive, or you can upload it to YouTube. And I would recommend if you upload to YouTube, you set it as private. You don't want, some of you will be worried about other people watching it and searching for it. Just set it as private. It's no big deal. This question right here, how will you get your videos to your students? Now, I created a website in order to give them the access to the videos. So for instance, here's a video. Students kept asking, how do you upload to our Scratch Studio? I made a video, put it right inside my website. You can also create links. You can share the document. You can give your students the link. That way they have access to it. You really need to think about if you're doing edu-creations or whatever app or service you're going to use, how do your students gain access to your video? Now these last 2 links here, they will take you through and it will show you some of the best recommendations for apps. Again, my recommendation if you're going to use a computer is definitely think of Screencast-O-Matic. Here's some top interactive whiteboard apps. You can feel free to check those out. edu-creations is a go-to app. You need to have that if you're going into a school district that has iPads. Alright, hopefully you enjoyed this manner of the teaching. That way tomorrow night, our Tuesday night class, will be a little shorter and we'll be able to focus more on videos and the power of the videos. Alright, thanks a lot.